This is Carrie with Fullerton Professional Organizing. I have a guest today, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and her favorite scripture if she has one.
Well, hello everyone. I've known Carrie for a while. We've both gone, I'm not going to say career hopping, but rather career adding.
Yes.
So like, hey, we love what we're doing, but we're going to add something else. But
Yes.
no, my go-to Bible verse that I like to tell people about is in Ephesians. Ephesians is written by Paul, and if we know the story of Paul, he used to be Saul. So there's just this whole reformation and story of grace and forgiveness and second chances, and so I'm all about Paul. Aren't we all like Paul?
Yes, I love that.
But in Ephesians, it's for I'm able to do exceedingly abundantly above which we are able to think or even imagine.
Yes.
And it's that last part, it's like, girl, you can't even dream about what I have in store for you.
So awesome.
So get over yourself
Yes.
and let me work in your life.
That gives me
and so we
the
think,
goosies.
when we think we know what we want, like it's okay to dream, it's okay to plan, but that verse tells me leave a door, like make your plans. I'm all about the work your plan and plan your work. I'm all about that.
Yes.
But
Yes.
leave a little door for that but God
Yes.
in your life.
Yes.
And so Ephesians, I think it's 3:20 or 3:21. Don't judge me. I don't have the chapter and verse memorized, but I think it's Ephesians 3:20, somewhere in there.
Yes. Yes, it is. It
Okay.
is Ephesians 3:20. Absolutely.
But yeah, that's for sure my go-to.
Yeah, I was thinking Ephesians 6:20, but it is 3:20. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. And you're Janine Marie.
Yes, Janine Marie Campbell.
Campbell.
We had for those of you that are watching that are in the Harlingen area, we had a studio storefront in downtown Harlingen for 13 years called Janine Marie Photography, which is how I got to know you and your daughter.
Yes.
And we made a life change in 2017 when we brought a son into our life and went through the adoption process. And so we just had to take a minute, take a beat, and look at the landscape and the season of our life. And we chose to sell that building downtown as well as our other house and combine it into this property, which is Campbell Estate.
A family business and home.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right, because now you also are.
So we changed the portraiture name to Campbell Estate Portraiture, and you're sitting inside of Campbell Estate B&B.
B&B. Yes.
And Jason has Campbell Estate Craftsman, because he always wanted to have a business on the side that created custom furniture, was able to do minor repair work like a journeyman.
Yes.
So he's all in that.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. What a blessing to be able to do what you love, right?
Absolutely.
Right? All right. Now, what is it that you're the most passionate about? We know now what you love doing, but what makes it a passion?
Oh goodness. Well, I think in every avenue, I can't speak for my husband, but for for either the portraiture or the B&B, it's the service industry. And I love people. I like interacting with whatever season of life they're in. Yes, they're paying you, but you're also getting that trust and invitation into that chapter and moment of their life. And I don't do weddings anymore, but weddings are a perfect example of you don't get a do-over. And so there's a tremendous amount of trust and just you think about a day that if something messes up, you can't hire the caterer and bring everybody on a plane to the same spot again. And so there's a lot of planning and organization and expertise that needs to go into how you approach a wedding, and
lots of details.
And I don't think it's any different for what we would call a traditional photo shoot, whether it's an executive headshot or a high school senior. You still need to plan out that session before they even get there, and it just lends itself to the success of the session itself.
Right.
And the same thing goes for the bed and breakfast. Like you have a Fiji water that I handed you when you walked in, and that's part of the service. That's part of the hospitality.
Making people feel comfortable.
Correct. Yes.
And welcomed.
Right. Little touches in the room, down to the decor, where things are placed. If you go to a hotel, what do you want on the bedside table? What do you want to see when you walk into the bathroom? If it's a 4-star or 5-star hotel, what kind of service are you expecting? And we try to the best of our ability to do that in a really small boutique setting like this.
Right. Yeah, and if you want to be an entrepreneur, you really do have to like people. You will have to love people. You have to want to serve people. You can't be an entrepreneur and expect people to want your product just because you have a product to sell.
Right.
The customer doesn't serve us.
You earn your success.
Serve people.
Right.
I
love how people say, "Oh, so you're your own boss? That's great." I'm like, "No, my clients are my boss." Everybody that walks in has a different personality, has a different way of carrying themselves. So being able to read people, I think, is incredibly important, because then you can alter your approach to them to make sure that they are comfortable, not the other way around.
Right.
I'm going to meet you where you are versus no, you need to become who I want you to be my customer. It doesn't work that way.
Yes, exactly. As a party planner too, now there were customers, I don't want to have anything to do with it. You just take the ball and run with it, and that was fine too. Yeah. But a lot of times, you still have to pull out, well, what are your favorite colors? What do you like? Give them lots and lots of, well, maybe not overdo it on the options, but give them options so that you can pull out what they really like. Because a lot of times they think they don't know what they like.
They always know.
Yeah, but once you dig in and you can...
They're just maybe not accustomed to someone actually listening to them.
Exactly. You've just got
to... society these days.
Yes. Being an entrepreneur is not just about us. It is definitely about the client. It's awesome. Now, how long, you said you've been in the photography. How long have you been in the photography business?
A total of 15 years.
15 years. And then I keep wanting to say Airbnb because now it's called, now we've got the new
people are like,
phrase,
oh, you have an Airbnb. I was like, no, I have a bed and breakfast and we're listed on Airbnb.
Yes, it's a bed and breakfast. Yes. And how long has that been?
We started receiving people paying us to stay here, I would say, in 2018, but we didn't list ourselves on an online site until 2019.
Okay.
And so early February of 2019 is when we became an Airbnb partner. And it was probably 2 or 3 months later that we became a super host. And super host just means that you've maintained I think it's 4.8 rating or higher.
Yes.
We're 5 stars. We've never had anything but 5 stars. Just saying.
Awesome.
Brag. Not proud at all.
And it looks 5-star. I'm going to show some pictures, so stay tuned till the end of the podcast.
Yes. So a combination of the reviews that you've received as well as the number of stays.
I see.
And they call it heads and beds. And so how many days did you have someone in your home? So it might be someone, which happens very frequently, honestly, is an executive traveler who's here for a month or even up to 5 months.
Right, right.
And so they go by the amount of days that you're booked versus, oh, that was just one person.
Right.
So it's a combination.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we've been a super host since 2019 and coming up on a total of 4 years with the bed and breakfast.
Okay. Now, with the bed and breakfast, is there anything that you wish you had known before that you've learned along the way?
I would say don't necessarily trust that everyone is going to have common sense or common courtesy. If you have a bed and breakfast, it's usually because you live on property and either you live on a side property nearby or inside of the same household. And so being very clear about your expectations, house rules.
Oh, yes.
Before they press book, you need to make sure that they understand what the expectations are. And I have people who don't read them. A really good example is just shoes and wearing shoes in the house. I'm perpetually barefoot, but not everybody else is. And so there might be like these ladies that stayed with us this weekend asked, they're like, "No, I read that we were supposed to take our shoes off." And I said, "Oh no, it's okay. I trust you." It's the rule was created because there was a rig worker that schlepped through here with his muddy boots and thought that that was okay.
Yeah.
And so I always say, wherever you go, we tell our son, if there's a rule, it's because someone didn't use their common sense or common courtesy.
Right. And that's usually what I tell people at any job that I've worked on that have other coworkers that have complained about dumb rules. Well, those dumb rules are only created because there was a reason. There was a reason for it. People don't just sit there going, what kind of rules can I set to make things?
It's like that statement on the McDonald's cup that says, "Caution, contents may be hot." Really? Why does that have to be there? Why? And it's because some idiot.
Exactly. Someone decided to do something
and get offended
strange.
by it.
Yes.
But yes, that's definitely what I wish I had known, is just to be, from the get-go, be brave enough and courageous enough to set boundaries for your own property. This is your baby.
Right.
And let people know how you expect them to take care of it while they're here.
Awesome. Well, now we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit. How has your adoption journey changed you?
Oh gosh, that's a loaded question. I would say that, I was incredibly involved in the community at one point. I think at one point I was sitting on 5 different boards at once.
And you were very involved in the Harlingen CISD as well, right?
The Education Foundation for a while, and Boys and Girls Club. The list goes on. But you have a 10-year-old that comes into your life that has had nothing but drama and trauma in their life, and you immediately realize that even though pouring into your community is important, your ministry becomes different.
Right.
Your family, your household is always your first priority and your first ministry point. Some people, this might be a weird segue, but some people will serve their church every Sunday at the expense of family time or at the expense of, so there's a prioritization miss.
Yes, my pastor has always taught God first, spouse, children, then possibly church. So he's always tried to teach a balance. Yeah.
So there was just
And it's the same in business, right?
yes,
Yeah.
different. For people, I call them the move my cheese people.
Mhm.
Like, what's going on? And
Mhm.
they're not flexible. They don't allow the Spirit to move in their life, and they get set on this concept, this idea, this path, this plan, and it's all our plan. They forgot the door that I tell you to keep open. They forget about that little door. And so when he came into our life, that's when we made the decision to sell the downtown property and our other home and get this one.
Yes, and I do want her to touch on the reason for that, because that really touched me yesterday.
Well, yeah. So he had been in I want to say 15 different homes prior to us. 2 failed adoptions prior to us. And it was really important for us to send a message to him that he was home, that he belonged, that we were going to do life together. And so we were not planning on house hunting that day. We just happened to be in this neighborhood, and we saw a for sale sign, and one thing led to another, and we were making an offer, and the offer was accepted. And you fast forward to the day where we went to a plant nursery to look for plants for this house, and our son had helped paint inside this home. We took a sledgehammer to some walls, and he was really happy to swing that thing around. And he was a part of creating this space for us as a family. And we were at the nursery, and everybody watches a little too much HGTV, and we were addicted to Chip and Joanna, the Fixer Upper. And they're all about the magnolia. And so,
and I do love magnolias.
So he was just inundated. We watched it every day. The reruns are available all the time, and so he was just inundated with this magnolia concept. So when we went to the nursery, there was this giant magnolia tree. I would say about 9 feet tall. And he ran up to it. He's like, "Mom!" And he was calling me Mom finally.
Yes.
So he's like, "Mom, look, it's a magnolia tree." And in the back of my brain, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that thing's gonna be so expensive." He's like, "Mom, it can be our family tree."
And that was it.
That was it. I was like, "We're done. We're done. I don't care how much it is.
Yeah.
That's our family tree."
Yeah.
And it's sitting right out there on the corner because it's the crossroads. We planted it on the corner on purpose because it's where the 2 paths cross. And
I know. I keep getting all these little goosebumps.
Yeah. So it's just been that was a real moment of joy where we're like, you know what, we're doing something right. We're helping. We're allowing him to be a part of the recognition that this is his home. This is where there's a sense of permanency.
And I think that's what touched me, is the idea that he wasn't coming into this couple's home.
Right.
They were going to move into their home. And again, the goosies. Now, and when they get to your cheeks,
drink some
the goosebumps go all the way up to the cheeks.
Yes.
But yeah, that really blessed my heart, and I knew this was a story that I wanted to share. And
can you see? I'm looking in the camera angle. There's a picture above me that was our. So he moved into our home in October of 2017, and November of 2017. Me being the photographer, I said, "There's no way that I'm gonna put a tripod up and try to click." And this is it was another source of permanency for him. And so we did 2 things that November. We purchased this home, and we did our first family portrait, all within 30 days of him moving in with us.
Awesome.
And
and I will show you guys a picture of that at the end.
It's so nice. Every time he looks at that and really stops. And he's like, that was a good day.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Oh.
and that goes back to
Yes.
the portraiture. And I didn't take that. I spent the money. I invested in us. I didn't try to find the cheapest person out there. I wanted to go to someone that I knew was going to be professional, be sensitive to the situation, give him joy and laughter during the session, so it could create an imprint. And
wow, that's so awesome.
Yeah, so that's I'll just grab it real quick.
We're gonna show you guys.
Well, there's
this one.
There's a bigger one, but I'll show you this one because it just shows his joy and laughter and just the ease of his new family. But yeah, so.
All right. Well, we had to tell that little story. We're gonna segue here into back to the B&B. Tell me about a time you wanted to give up, or has there been any time before it was, before the people came, was there a journey there? Not that you really were gonna give up, but some challenges. Were there some challenges?
In the bed and breakfast, honestly, no.
No, everything was just a blessing.
I can think of several times in the photography segment, I can think of several times. Oh man, there was one point where it was. I'm trying to remember the year. I believe it was 2013, where I left for about 6 weeks on a Rotary group study exchange trip to India. And during that time, the person that was working for me failed to do their job accurately. And so I came back to a mess. I'll just leave it at that. And the mess made it prohibitive for me to actually function as a business. I needed to clean it up rather extensively for about 2 or 3 weeks. And that put me at the tail end of March, and April 1st, I got into a pretty brutal car accident. And I was in a neck brace. And so just as I was able to start up again, I got another
stall.
And correct. And I was recuperating through that, and then my grandfather unexpectedly passed, just kind of in a shocking way. And so there was so much to process, one thing after the other, and it was probably July before I surfaced and came up for air that year, just to process the first 7 months of 2017 or 2013, excuse me.
Yes.
2013. And that was, I think, the year that we decided that we weren't going to hire any more staff. I had up to 4 people working for me. And this succession of events made us come to the conclusion that we're just going to do this without any staff.
Right.
And that was difficult because there's a gear shift when you're doing, in order to maintain the overhead of 4 employees and a mortgage and the electricity bills and whatnot, you have to do a lot of sessions in order to support that many. And so I was doing 4 to 6 sessions a day, but I had an editing team. And then I had to go down to 1 or 2 sessions a day,
so you could do all
so
the
that I
editing
could do all the
yourself.
editing myself.
I see. Yeah.
Answering the phones, being my own janitor, being like just the team atmosphere that I had cultivated, whittled down to just me again.
Right.
And then now you're staring at, do I need this much space?
Right.
Do I need 3,000 square feet?
You're doing it just yourself. Yeah.
Having, fighting, enjoying the rise from 2007 to 2013. And I just had so much fun, especially with high school seniors and the creativity that they allowed. And all of a sudden you're just...
And I did love the Mother's Day sessions.
Yes.
Those are great. And that's Are you going to do some coming up, or we're laying low on the Mother's Day?
We're laying low.
Okay.
We're still in mom mode. We're still in I call it incubator mode.
Yes, yes.
He's coming up into high school, so
Yeah.
we'll see how much I'm needed.
Yeah.
He's my ministry right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, as a mom, you do have to decide, you know, just like with the pandemic, you have to pivot. As a mom, you have to pivot. As an entrepreneur, there's always going to be, and that's why we bring in that door when God directs. You know, we just have to trust him and trust what he's doing, you know?
I like to say the door is cracked and he can either slam it shut or he can kick it wide open. But keep it cracked. See what he wants to do.
Yeah, I try to run with the opportunity, with the idea that when that opportunity door slams, then I will follow God through that slam door as well. Not through the slam door, that's probably the wrong words to use, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
All right. We're going to follow him whether he slams the door or opens it. There we go. All right.
He grabs our shirt and yanks us back. That's the slam.
So how did you overcome some of that? And you probably already touched on it a little bit, but to be clear.
Obviously prayer. I don't want to use that term lightly because what that looked like was this wrestling match with being so proud of what had been. And you reach this point where it's like you push and you push and you push and you forget about that little door and you get focused on your plan. We're all guilty. And then things start happening. You know, you ignore the door, God's going to start allowing things in your life to occur to try to get you to look at that door again. And like, he's like, you forgot to crack the door.
Yeah, you forgot I was over here.
And it's that our own power, our own will, our own capacity. And you get focused on that and you get prideful about it. And to a certain degree, it's okay to be proud of what you've accomplished, but
it's proud of what God has done through you.
Can I say something? God likes to peacock.
Yes.
Like, he likes to, he likes things to unfold where it's unquestionably him.
Exactly.
And so if you get so focused on your own capacity, he's like, oh, hold up. Don't you remember what I did for you? You think that was you. You're getting a little cocky. I need to be the one that spreads all the colors and does exceedingly abundantly above which.
Exactly. And I forget that.
And then it means that you're thinking too small. Anytime you try to take control over the plan, you're thinking too small. And you may not think that your plan is small. You may think it's huge, but then you go back to that verse and it's like, wait a minute. I'm not able to even imagine what he has in store for me. So I'm therefore settling. So it's that willpower wrestling match where you are consciously humbling yourself. It's hard. Humbling yourself and not getting in your own head and reminding yourself on a daily basis, it's not my plan, it's not my plan, it's not my plan. And telling
God's plans are God's plans.
Starting each morning off with a not even a prayer, just kind of like, okay, I don't really know what's going on, and so if there's anything that I start to do that is not of you, quicken my spirit. If there's something I'm about to say or something that I'm about to engage in that is not of you, quicken my spirit, make it annoyingly uncomfortable. And He honors prayers like that.
Yeah.
But we have to ask for that guidance.
And we have to actually stop to listen to it.
Correct.
Yeah, we can't just bulldoze through it.
Right.
Hey, lead me, guide me, and then bulldoze through it.
You asked earlier something about what's changed in me, and I would say there's I have embraced the art of quiet, the art of the pause. Be still, stupid. Did you hear me say be still and know that I am God? You're not being still. You're waking up and checking your email. You're waking up and seeing how many likes your business page got the previous day. Oh, social media.
Another goosebump moment.
It's just, it's what are you doing when you wake up? And I'm still guilty of that. I fall short every day, but I'm still reminded of what are you doing first thing when you wake up, and that is a window into what your priorities are. Right. It's so humbling.
Yes, it is.
When I think about it, and it's like, oh, how am I supposed to encourage my son to wake up and praise God and see God's face if I'm not doing that? How am I supposed to witness to others and tell them to do that if I'm not doing that? And so I think there was this shift that happened where having purposeful calm and meditation on a daily basis, and that looks different for everybody. You don't have to feel guilted into feeling like you need to sit down and have a kumbaya moment every single morning. Some people talk to God just like this, like, hey, I'm confused, man, you need to help me out. And sometimes I talk to him like that, and other times it's like, I praise you for all the things that I have in my life. And that wasn't you always get so caught up in what you don't have. Regardless of what you have in your life, there's this tendency, especially as Americans, to be fixated on the Joneses, to be fixated on
comparison. Yeah, even as Christians, we compare ourselves to each other, not just,
But I'm just like, can I release myself and anybody else from that comparative mentality of just sinking into the knowledge that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be in the same race but at a different pace.
Right.
We're all trying to seek God's face in ways that resonate with us. Right.
He created us each to be individual and to be who He wants us to be, not, I can't be Joanna Gaines and Joanna Gaines can't be me, but because I got that, I did get something she said recently, and I can't quote it perfectly because we're in the moment here and I can't think of it, but she said something like that. She has a little phrase that what is for me is for me. What God has for me is, and the world needs me, not me pretending to be someone else.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what the phrase was, but somewhere in there, she had it perfectly quoted. But that's true, and that's why we've got to be happy for other people's blessings. When God blesses other people, we should be happy for that because that's their blessing. We'll have our own blessings, and that's really good. Now, what advice would you give someone wanting to do what you do, whether it's the photography or the B&B or even adoption? You can take any one of those avenues, whichever one
I think
you want to talk about.
I think with all three, the common thread is try not to jump into something without a proper amount of preparation. There's always the God factor, right?
Yes.
He can move mountains.
Right.
Yes, we get it.
But we get
but
it.
But we
Right.
have to do our part,
Yeah.
and I think with the adoption, we went through. This is almost unheard of. We chose Blue Sunday, or why did I say that? We chose Buckner. We chose Buckner because they had a more extensive training process. We fell into this knowledge that we were being called to an older child. And so we knew there would be a certain element of
Yes.
care that was necessary straight from the get-go. That
You pretty much knew that
Right.
there was going to be some things.
There's a big difference between waiting for a newborn child to come to you via adoption versus here's this child who the only reason that they are adoptable is because they've already been rejected, not just by bio mom and bio dad, but also every member of their family.
Right.
That's a lot of rejection.
That's a lot.
That's really intense.
That's
and
a lot.
There was just a tremendous amount of preparation. Rather than a couple of months, it was more like a full year. Just the various classes and certifications, and then you have to get your home certified. And I don't like the phrase jumping through a lot of hoops, but that's, I can't think of another term. There's just a lot to go through that was required by the state, and then others that we just elected to go ahead and do.
Right.
On the business side, photography, I think from the get-go, the reason Jason and I were our own version of successful from the get-go was we weren't trying to do business under the table. I'm going to go there. If you're going to have a business, do it legitimately. Pay your taxes, file for a doing business as or an LLC, join your local chamber, get plugged into your community, give back, and also don't try to undercut everybody else in town, because then you're devaluing your entire profession by doing that. Don't be the cheap guy just because you want the business. Because you're telling people that you have no value.
Exactly.
So you need to value yourself, and then produce products that equate that level of service. So
Professionalism.
So bringing that level of professionalism into our next venture was rather seamless because we knew how to treat. We had a lot of trial and error with hospitality and customer service through the photography business, and we brought that experience into the B&B, along with me being just a little bit of a hotel snob. And God bless La Quinta's out there, but give me an Embassy Suites, So we brought that caliber to the B&B. So preparation and just being thoughtful. That I love that word. We tell our son, fold your clothes thoughtfully. Put the effort into it. What you give is what you get. And I think that there's a lot of instances out there where people want a lot, but they're not willing to sacrifice what's necessary in order to get what they're wanting in their life. And so, there's a tremendous amount of sacrifice in all three of those avenues. But absolutely with parenthood. Goodness.
Well, here's a business question I just thought of. Now, did you, because I know you did the LLC for your photography business, did you do
The DBA, doing business as.
Okay, for B&B, or did you get another LLC for the?
It's a doing business as.
Okay.
It's a doing business.
I was just curious. It was
DBA.
just something that
Yes.
Because a lot of times, those are things that business people need to know too. You
Right.
know, LLCs and DB. I keep forgetting what it's called.
Doing
business as
yeah.
DBA.
Yeah.
I rethink my thoughts. And we are, we're in the moment here. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Is there any books or anything you've listened to or read that has inspired you lately?
Oh gosh,
Something
yes.
you think people would be interested to know?
I like to say that the last 4 years of our life, obviously becoming a parent,
Mm-hmm.
has been very introspective.
Mm-hmm.
Can I tell you, there is nothing on the planet that makes you look in the mirror any harder than being a parent.
Right.
And they become, we missed the first 10 years of his life.
Yeah.
He's us. In 4 years, he has our values. He talks like us. He walks like us. He has, he just, he's us. He's our mirror. And if we start, what our choices are and our behaviors are, you need to be mature enough as an adult to understand where you need to grow for the benefit of your child.
Right.
And so that's the long version, the long pre-answer to what I've been listening to a lot lately.
Oh yes. You told me.
Is Dr. John Deloney and
Dr.
Brene-
John
Deloney.
John Deloney.
And he's part of the Ramsey Solutions group. So Kenneth Coleman, Dr. John Deloney. Off the Ramsey Solution group is Brene Brown. So, just very insightful into everyday occurrences that evoke emotion, because we're emotional beings and we're challenged by God to be spiritual beings, to make wise choices that are beyond emotion. And that's hard as a parent when they're, you just kind of, you want to sometimes, or you just want to do the face palm when the school calls you and you're like, what is happening? But it's working on ourself. My husband and I working on our individual selves makes our marriage stronger, makes us have more capacity to be there as a parent, and to make sound decisions in the moment versus being elevated all the time. I struggle to understand how some people do it. My sister is someone that I look up to. She's 10 and a half years older than me, and she is on the school board in her town and is deeply involved in the community and has 3 children, and she's just really involved.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it. And it doesn't mean that choice is wrong. We're just all wired differently.
Right.
And I hope and I pray that she's finding that moment of stillness each day to regroup for her own mental health. And I know that's kind of a catchphrase lately, but just, if you're not well, then you can't plug into others. If you're not well, then you can't be the best for your children, for your husband, for your spouse. And so that's been my big shift. Is I was very outwardly focused and a people pleaser, and I won't go down that path too far. But when you're a people pleaser, some of the things, arguably all the things that you do, are for affirmation. You're seeking affirmation because you're feeling lacking, and that's why. Have you tried to dig in deeper? Why are you feeling lacking?
Yeah.
Like, why are you seeking out affirmation? is where are you not getting it from? And oh wait, it's because you're seeking affirmation from people.
Yeah.
And that was my problem.
Yeah, I've been through that. I would have to say that's still something that I probably struggle with sometimes. I know when to say no, but I'm not going to say that I'm completely not a people pleaser.
I'm getting better at saying no.
Yes.
I'm getting better at voicing things that I think need to occur. But I really was an affirmation junkie at one point. And sometimes I wonder if that's why I was on 5 different boards, because I was an affirmation junkie. And it's really easy to be an affirmation junkie. And you don't even realize that that's what's happening in that moment. And so what kind of stress and time consumption are you taking on just for the sake of someone patting you on the back when you can get that affirmation from spending time with the Lord in 10 minutes in the morning, and then 5 minutes at lunch, and then 2 minutes before you go to bed? I mean, I don't know why people think it takes an hour to praise and worship. Like, just little snippets throughout the day, and being consistent about it, and it grounds you. And all of a sudden you don't I keep using that word, you don't need the affirmation.
Well, praise and worship is definitely where I go when I'm feeling like I'm not up to where I think I should be, and when I start self-doubting, I put in the praise and worship to drown out my mind self-doubting and putting all that, my mind tries to fill me up with negativity, and I have to put in that praise and worship to drown out my own negativity to myself, which is strange, but at least there is a place we can go. We can go to the Father.
This might be getting too deep, but that negative self-talk, it comes from somewhere.
It does.
And not many people want to pause long enough to ask where it comes from. God revealed to me where.
And I know where mine comes from.
God, that's a powerful prayer, and it's a little scary because sometimes we already know the answer, but where is this show me where this negative self-talk is coming from. Show me where my doubts are coming from. And then when it's revealed to you, it might be a chapter of life that you have blocked out because your body was just trying to save yourself from that trauma being revisited. And so that's where sometimes that is a motivator without even realizing it. People that are just go, being involved in everything, and just, they're seeking out approval that they didn't get somewhere else in their life. And it's this replacement therapy, if you will, that is this self-soothing, and it's kind of destructive rather than soothing, because you have to constantly keep up with that affirmation crave.
Yeah,
and it's
wow,
this vicious circle. It's this
hit some deep stuff here, because
but it's true. To your last question of what books are you reading? It's my deep dive is part 2 of the interview is this secret desire of mine to be some sort of life coach.
Well, and I just confessed this to some ladies the other day in my Bible study. If you are the type that every time they teach on that 31 woman and you hate hearing about that 31 woman, yet you are, you want to be that 31 woman, but you don't want to hear that message one more time, you realize that you may be too much of a perfectionist, and that God is trying to tell you, yes, this is picture of a 31 woman, but see this scripture here? It says, become. You will become. It doesn't mean I want you to be everything that 31 woman, Proverbs 31 says. That is what we're striving to become. That's not something he expects us to be right now, and he's just gonna punish us if we're not there yet. It's a journey. It's a goal. It's what we strive for, but we also have to have balance. We've talked about all of that. You know, you have to have balance. You have to know when to say no. You have to know when it's appropriate to be a people pleaser, because obviously the service industry, there is an element of that where we like to serve people and we like to have them enjoy their B&B, but there's a lot. We don't have time to go into all of this session.
I opened a
this
can.
Therapy session today.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into some other things here. Do you consider yourself organized? I already know the answer to this question.
There's always room for improvement. No, but I think everyone that's in my life that has been in this home, this is just like, you have a problem. Like I have clear bins for everything, and there's my father used to say there's a place for everything, and everything has its place.
Yes.
And that has carried over into my adult life, and having guests here, you know, I need to be able to find things on the fly and not search for them. The putting away, I think you mentioned that to me. It needs to be as easy to find, easy
to
put
away as it is to
find.
To put it down, to just leave out. That's it.
So, I would definitely say that, not that I excel, but I have a system and I have zones. And it's easy.
And what I tell people is you have to know your own comfort zone even in that. I mean, if you are a little bit comfortable with having things out, there's a system for that as well. And that's why a lot of people do like the clear bins. They do want to organize things, but they want to know where they are, so they want to be able to see them. There are some that do not want to see it at all. They want the solid containers. They don't even want labels. They want their doors, you know, the cabinet doors shut at all times. And then there are some, and my husband's one. He wants it easy to get to, and he wants to be able to see it. And it's not my style, but I've had to learn to let it go.
Yes.
I mean, do you want your relationship with those in your house more, or do you want everything to be your way more? And you have to be flexible in that as well.
Yes.
So are you a filer? You're not a piler. You're more of a filer than a piler.
Yes.
Is it easy for you to let go of things, or do you have attachment?
I can let go of
attachment.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very minimalist. I think it's probably because I grew up in a household where everything was held onto. And I just didn't like stepping over things.
Yeah.
It's not that it was trashy,
right.
Or, you know, it was just a lot of stuff.
Right.
And
I think it comes from the Depression era. The grandparents in the Depression era had to hold on to everything and reuse everything, and then some of that was passed on to that next generation, which would be my parents' generation, where it wasn't quite the same as Depression era, but they held on to everything. And then now it's this generation, and we're learning that, okay, there are times we do need to let go of
I want to see my floors. I like having space to run around and move. We have animals, so the animals need space to move, and then there's also the walls, and there, you know, my mother, bless her heart, I love her. If there's a picture, it's got to be framed and it's on the wall, even if it's a 4x6. And so, I can't see her walls. It's just frame, 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 figuring, frame, frame, and I can't. Even though I'm a photographer, it's not.
Where does your eye go?
Right. Yeah. And so I like albums. I like albums where they're out for people to see, and you can flip through if you want to. But I like minimalistic art on the wall. Maybe one larger portrait that's significant, but not.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, every Thanksgiving we're going to sit on the fireplace and take a family portrait, and all 14 years of that are going to be in a row down the hallway.
Right, right.
And that's my mom, and that's, that's what she loves, but that's not who I am. So I'm very minimalistic. I like cozy, but still.
Yeah, not 10 pillows.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
But
yes.
Yeah.
Those throw pillows.
I get it. Yeah. Because
save your marriage. Don't have decorative pillows on your bed.
Yes, that's another thing. You know what? I'm a little different. I do make my bed, but I want to be able to just grab it and go. And that's
kind of where we're at.
Yeah. It's not one of those. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's different organizational styles. Some like it all tucked in, and some want it to just look nice.
On the organization,
clean lines.
When it comes to organization and how you like things, you have there's a fine line between how you want things to look and then what you're actually going to be able to do and deliver on a daily basis. And so release yourself from this imaginary expectation that every woman needs this pristine bedroom at the 5 seconds after you get out of bed.
Right. Yeah.
That's your sanctuary, and it doesn't have to be immaculate. Who are you inviting into your bedroom?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just it's for you, and like you said, if you can straighten it out within, I like to say 1 or 2 minutes tops. Can you make your bed in 1 or 2 minutes tops? And that's if it takes longer than that. For men, it's like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
What can I do in 10 seconds? And that's what I'm willing to do.
Because I do like at least making it look clean, because it does make your room automatically. That's the one thing that makes your room look cleaner. And when you walk in, it automatically looks cleaner and inviting. So there's nothing wrong with the quick little straighten out. You don't need all the pomp and circumstances, but if that's you and you're able to take care of that on a daily basis, that's you do you. But I like simple. It's just like the saying, easier to, if it's just as easy to put away as it is to leave out, make it quick, simple, and easy. Now let's see here. Do you save articles, newspapers, books, or because now a lot of stuff is digital? Are you the digital, or are you both? Or
I'm definitely a hold it in my hand book reader. I like, I guess, the tactile feeling of holding it in my hands, and I'm a highlighter person.
Yes,
I get that from my dad. If my sister winds up watching this, she'll laugh at me, but he perpetually underlines and highlights things.
Because we tend to read self-help, self-improvement type books.
Yeah.
Now, if you're reading, if all you read is fantasy, you don't have to highlight. But I feel ya. That's the type of stuff that I read.
Fantasy stuff.
Yeah, I don't either.
If I'm
Science
reading,
fiction. That my husband and my father-in-law, they read all of that, and that is great for them. But I tend to be I read stuff that you can highlight.
I'll watch Bridgerton and then read my self-help book. But yeah, that's no. I like. If it's a book, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna hold it. but then I also there's a ton of podcasts that I listen to.
Yeah, I love that because it's great to be able to listen to something while you're cleaning or while you're, well, I haven't done the working out yet, but it's great to be able to do that when you work out, when you clean, when
just driving.
Yeah.
Like the 10-15 minute drive to pick up your kiddo. Why not invest in yourself? Yeah,
and I was going to say this earlier when we were talking about there was something we were talking about earlier. You know, a lot of times you feel down on yourself because, oh, I didn't spend this amount of time in my devotions every day. I didn't spend this amount of time praying every day, doing it every day. And I heard a pastor say, because I use my driving time as my prayer time, and I was feeling guilty that I don't spend 30, you know, like everybody says you should spend a certain amount of time every day praying. And he said, well, you know what? There's a lot of people that regret all that time that they don't pray, so they don't pray. I said, at least if you're consistently spending 15 or 10 minutes every single day, sometimes you're still doing more than other people are. And that took the pressure. Again, I'm that type that I tend, everything's black and white.
Right.
And I have to go back and hear someone say something like that. Well, you know, every day on the way to work, that's my prayer time.
Right.
When I go to sleep, if I fall asleep, then I fall asleep. But if I can't sleep, to me that's wasted time. So I will pray myself to sleep. That may seem sad that we pray ourselves to sleep, but it's time that I'm not wasting, and I try to use it effectively. And I have had people laugh at me and go, yeah, right, you pray. But I don't mean it sanctimoniously. I just mean I'm not that person that will sit down and do a devotion every single day, like a cookie cutter type.
Yeah.
You know, some people are, and they're able to fit that in, and I'm working on that. But at least we're doing it. I do teach a Bible study once a month, and I do that reading, and I pray. I try to pray every day, and it may be 10 minutes a day, but at least it's prayer.
Right. Well, what I tell my son is, you know, the things that are important to you, you have a tendency to prioritize,
and make time for what's important.
And that's not meant to guilt anybody but it's do it because you want to, not because you think you should. And it goes back to that Bible verse where the things that I want to do, I don't do, and the things that I shouldn't do, I do. And you know, it's this.
Yes.
It's a letter basically saying, I just want to do what I'm supposed to do, but I keep doing the things that I shouldn't. And the point to that is, if you're aware that you should do it and it bothers you that you're not, then that should speak to what you need to change in your schedule and prioritize it. If it bothers you enough, then just prioritize it. And what does that even mean? That means, you know, usually if it's the first thing that you do in the morning, then it's done. And I don't mean that in a
get it done, and it's done.
Yeah, like done.
It's done.
Like kind of a check off, right?
Yeah.
I don't mean it in that way, but it's there's something very moving about preparing your heart and your spirit for the day. And so especially if you're one of those people that just can't crawl out of bed immediately, your alarm goes off, turn on your light. And then I swear this thing can be a terror or a tool.
Yeah, it can be used for good or for bad.
If you set your alarm, because you can, phones are amazing these days where you can set your alarm to go off and it immediately goes into the Bible app. And the Bible app now has recorded videos for the scripture of the day, and someone who's a pastor from anywhere in the world who starts speaking about their interpretation and thoughts and little nuggets of wisdom based on that scripture, it takes like 2 or 3 minutes to listen to that video, and then it goes to the verse, and you can go up or down. You know, if there's a scripture that someone gives to me, I like to read the what's above and below it, because it allows more of a context. Yeah. So I'll maybe do that, maybe not every time. And then there's a prayer. It literally gives you a prayer. Like, if you can't think of what to say, here's a prayer that is linked to this Bible verse that you can pray over yourself, over the members of your family.
You'll have to text me the link to that, and I'll add it at the end of the podcast, so that everybody can have access to it.
Will do. And I think it's it's just Holy Bible.
I have that little app, but I guess I haven't dug into
it's by YouVersion. And see how it has, here's the verse of the day, and there's that little video that you can press play on. And
I've seen that pop up. I have that.
It's a different person every day, and so it keeps it fresh. It's not monotonous. I like that. It keeps it fresh, and you never know who you're going to be listening to or what accent you're going to be listening to.
Yeah, because originally I would do my prayer time in my car because I wasn't doing it at all, you know, and I just wanted to start building in some habits. But then it got to where I enjoyed my prayer time in my car, to be honest. I could really have some real good conversations with God, but I had to put aside the road rage to do it. Okay,
it's like ignore my bumper sticker.
Yeah, you have to. And I didn't have real road rage, but here's, you're driving and someone does something that makes you mad. Well, you're praying, right? And then you're mad at that person for cutting in.
God bless you.
Yeah, and then it interrupts your whole prayer. You have to then refocus. I finally was able to just, you know what? I'm praying. You can't bother me. I'm praying. I'm not gonna let that person ruin my, prayer time. So it's not like I really had road rage, but it's funny thinking about how you can be praying and then have someone do something to make you mad, and you just have to, keep focused so you don't have to keep. Yeah, it's funny. But now it's to me a really good habit, and I do enjoy it. But I like the getting up first thing in the morning too.
Especially if you're lethargic.
Because it's not going to take that long.
If you're lethargic and you're just kind of doing that while it helps you wake up.
I think
you're
that's
not
awesome.
even out of bed yet, and it helps you wake up. It starts your day, and it gives you maybe that little push or that affirmation.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people with ADHD that I've heard that have struggles waking up, and this would be a good thing to help wake up the mind and get them thinking about their day. That's a very good. Now, we're going to end this with the last 3 questions. Where are you the most proud of your organization? And then we're going to talk about how people can find you online.
Well, I would have to say my kitchen pantry, refrigerator and pantry, running a B&B in the same property that you dwell in is a challenge, and creating a system where your kids, your friends who come over, who are family,
and your guests become friends and family, or is that where you're going with it, or you're saying your
I'm saying
friends?
like my parents,
when you have
husband,
company,
parent,
when you have guests,
when anybody comes over, and I'm like, it's in the pantry on the second shelf.
Oh, okay.
And they find it so easily, rather than how many of us open the pantry and we're just like, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, where did I put it? And oh my gosh, my grandmother was notorious for buying things 4 times over because she just couldn't find it.
Yes.
And so having structure and organization within your kitchen, if you do it nowhere else in your entire house, I think this is the place to start, because it makes the most sense. You're using it every day. And for us, it's not just us, it's for people who come over. This isn't just our house. We share it with so many people, and so to have that organization, being able to open the refrigerator
and know where everything is.
Those clear bins. You know, here's where everything is, and again, those clear bins in the pantry. It allows my son to have a really
visual,
just an ease of usage when he's making his creating his lunchbox for the day. I'm going to do my protein shake, and here's my snack for swim, and here's my body armor, and it's just quick grab because he knows where to go. And it there isn't an anxiety point.
Right.
You'd be amazed how much anxiety you can get in the kitchen when you can't find something.
Yeah.
And cooking should just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I started enjoying cooking when I got an organized kitchen. Because if things are in a disarray, how could you possibly
it doesn't
enjoy
make
that?
cooking enjoyable when you can't find anything. It's kind of like when you go to someone else's house. Not the disorganization part, but the fact is you're in someone else's house. They put their things in a different place than you do, and if you cook in someone else's house, it's a little bit harder and more challenging because you don't know where everything is naturally. Organization it really is something that everybody can benefit from, even if you have to start small. If you're not organized, and you need to start small and start those small little habits. One thing that helped me in the kitchen that I wish I had learned when now I'm an empty nester, but when my kids were little, I think it would have been more beneficial if I had only had 4 plates, 4 cups, and 4 pieces of silverware, because in my case, what I didn't like is getting all the dishes and all the kitchen clean, and then my kids, because I didn't go into their room first, my kids bring out all their dirty dishes. Now, of course, you can have a rule, no dirty dishes in their bedrooms. That would work too. There are many things that would work, but to me, that was the thing that worked the most. If I took out all of my dishes and I only had enough dishes for just what was in the house, and those dishes got washed every single day because we needed them for the next day. And I didn't have to wash all those extra dishes after cleaning the kitchen. So you got to find what works for your family, but that I wish I had done a lot earlier in my little family dynamic. So now, how can people find you online?
So Campbell Estate, no S, it's not estates plural. So it's
Campbell Estate.
Campbell with 2 L's, estate.net is the website to the portraiture. And then we really don't have a website for the B&B.
Oh, okay.
But you can find us on Airbnb. You just type in through Airbnb, because we really, unless unless you know us and you have our direct number, anybody new finds us through Airbnb.
Okay.
And so we have if you type in Campbell Estate, we have 3 guest suites. One is the Island Suite. It's our largest. It has its own private bathroom.
And that's all right here.
It's all on property.
Okay, just because you
Yeah.
said island, I wanted that to be clear.
We have themes in
Yes.
our room.
Themes.
And so the
Okay.
island suite has pelicans and
Yeah, and I did
ocean
notice the
theme.
the turtle out there. The turtle.
That's actually a koi fish.
Oh, koi fish.
Yeah.
Oh, now I see. Well, I was
Because
looking,
as people
with the
arrive,
pole
you have to walk
in the
past a
middle.
koi pond.
and we'll show you some pictures.
So yeah, the koi pond is our biggest hit here.
Yes.
It's definitely a crowd pleaser. But yeah, the island suite has just seashells and whatnot, and then we have a Jack and Jill adjoining rooms, and one is the Hummingbird Suite, and one is the St. James Suite, which is decorated with a lot of peacock motif.
Ooh, pretty.
So the hummingbird, I mean, it is what it sounds like, and I tried not to go overboard with hummingbird decor. I kind of like hummingbirds, and so I maybe pushed it too far, but it's not too kitschy.
Yeah.
And then our St. James Suite, I think, in my opinion, is our most elegant room. It has deeper, darker colors. It has a lot of those jewel tones. It's definitely a little more regal than our other two.
Would you say that might be also your more romantic?
Oh,
one?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's what I'm thinking, you know?
Yes.
Okay.
So it definitely, what we have not only do we serve breakfast, but we also have a happy hour. So it's just our house Cabernet. So we serve one free glass of Cabernet in the evening for those who want it.
Yeah.
And it's usually being consumed by our koi pond in the courtyard. So it's just a nice breezy, shaded environment for people to wind down their day.
Wind down their day. I gotcha.
But yeah, it's that's how you find us on Airbnb for our bed and breakfast suites, and then CampbellEstate.net.
All right. Well, we're going to have that information for you at the end of the video, under the video where it's posted. And we're going to go ahead and end this right now. We're very happy that you have come to listen to this story about, her journey and adoption and business. And we're going to end this now, but we're going to add some pictures at the end. And I hope you stay till the end and take a look at all the pictures. All right, we'll see you later.